Empire. The in-game algorithm is growing.
Weather, heat, how's he doing today? How's the pitcher doing? Is this pitcher tired? What's the pitch count? It's honestly so much to think about in the course of 14 to 25 seconds.
That's Kelly Pracht, co-founder of nVenue, which is building out new ways to interact and bet on sports. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein. Kelly Pracht has a non-sports tech background, but as we have found through the years of producing this show, sports always finds a way to get back into one's bloodstream, or in this case, the type of algorithms she and her team are building, and it's that data turnaround that got noticed by Major League Baseball. Our guest this week is Kelly Pracht, who's the co-founder of nVenue, lowercase n, capital V, Venue, which has recently partnered with Major League Baseball to power their predictive analytics for a bunch of games that are airing on Apple TV this year. And they are into the micro betting technology. Hi, Kelly. How are you?
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
All right, let's talk about micro betting, and let's talk about nVenue. Let me just start with your company. How did you get into this, and where are you guys going with it?
Yeah, I'll give you a little bit about why I founded nVenue and how it came about. So, for nearly 20 years, I was designing and leading some of the most advanced tech in the world in my R&D roles at Hewlett Packard. I put hundreds of products into the market, from things that would fit in your hand to as big as a football field. And about 5 years ago, I was leading some wildly big efforts in supercomputing to make the fastest machines in the world. And quite honestly, I found myself checking scores for the Astros games during machine learning conferences and thinking about how can we use this to really harness the power of live sports. You see, I grew up in West Texas in this Friday Night Lights world where everything was tied to sports. And even though I didn't become to be a basketball player or a major tennis star, I became an engineer who wanted to solve the big problems. And so I took this aha moment, applied it to sports, and realized that we needed to harness that data coming from the field in order to give fans like me and others a way to engage in the next sport or in the next play. And that's exactly what I did through machine learning and AI. And I brought along with me some really amazing co-founders. And now nVenue is taking live feeds from the field and delivering predictive analytics out to places like Apple TV and MLB Network, as well as packaging them up into ways to bet and engage on that next moment in sports. And that's nVenue we're about.
Take me back to your experience with Hewlett Packard. What were you creating? What were some of the products that you made?
I created a number of things. I actually began creating things as simple as power supplies and computers. And everything grew from that, from power supplies to server boards to solutions for media transcoding. Did the first software-defined server in the world. We led the IoT charge in the world of large enterprise compute. And then most recently, I have been working on the charge to exascale, which is fastest machines in the world, of which HPE yesterday just achieved the fastest machine in the world. It took years, but they got there. So from tiny things to IoT up to true supercompute.
Okay. All right. So let's get into micro betting here a little bit, which seems to be a big key in what you all are building with nVenue. Speed, accuracy, being able to make transactions happen within a very short period of time. Could you kind of take me through the tech behind thinking through those issues as you implement micro betting strategies for game broadcasts?
Absolutely. And so it all comes down to what fans want to do and what they already do. So when you're watching a sport, and I'll use baseball as an example because it's my favorite thing to talk about, but we do other sports as well. Think about what I thought about what we as fans process in our heads as we watch the batter come up to the plate. You think of things like weather, heat, how's he doing today? How's the pitcher doing? Is this pitcher tired? What's the pitch count? It's honestly so much to think about in the course of 14 to 25 seconds. We see stats, right? We see numbers like OBP, OPS, the slugging average, the batting average, and again, it's too much to process, and then you start to think of the splits. Well, that's why naturally machine learning is needed. It's able to take all of those things that you would consider if you had plenty of time and process those, just building on the same data that stats are built from. The challenge is doing it really, really fast. So we take live feeds from the field. We figure out from that what the next plays are going to be. So we take what was looking backwards and we look forward. Then we say, which is most important in predicting the thing that we want to predict? We trim that down, run lightning fast machine learning models for both sides of the matchup. In football, we run it for the offense and the defense, for the entire league, and for the exact matchup. We run up to 72 models in parallel, trying to get every view that we can on what's about to happen. And it's a lot of that's proprietary in what we find and how we do it. But then we merge those results back together so that the end user, the fan, in the case of Apple TV, receives a simple number that says, out of all of that, here's the probability that XYZ will happen. Yeah. Now, in a micro bet world, we just put it together in a betting opportunity, but it's the same technology. And it's going to demand, this new micro betting world is going to demand speed like that. It's going to demand scale on billions, and it's going to demand smarts. So we have to be smart enough to be able to talk to you as a fan, because you don't want to see something that's like a league average. You want to see what really reflects what you're looking at.
So will this be, in the case of, let's take Major League Baseball, would the betting opportunity be as simplistic as outcome of next pitch, strike, ball, hit, out, or are you going to outcome of at bat with odds on a triple, home run, strikeout, fly out? How are you kind of envisioning what you're going to offer to the consumer?
Oh, great question. So when we look at a game in any sport, we look at it as a segment of cadences. Again, back to the fan experience of what we think about. We might be thinking about, in baseball, we might be thinking about the next pitch. Like he's thrown 3 fastballs. Do you think he'll do a changeup right now? So yes, we offer pitch type. We are really excited about parlays that take pitch type and pitch speed predictions, slam them together so we can say, I think it'll be a curveball, between 80 and 85. We are really excited about taking the pitch information and making it a lot more interesting, way more interesting than just, was it a ball or was it a strike? Now, the next cadence up is the at-bat. What's the outcome going to be for this at-bat? And of course, the probabilities are going to change with each pitch that comes in. In football, we look at the equivalent of those cadences as, what will the play be? What will this play result be? Let's say it's a kickoff. Will it be a long return or a short return or touchback? Down to, let's take a set of downs. Always going to go 3 and out. That type of prediction. Now, growing up on the cadence matrix, if you will, we get to things like the drive or the possession, or maybe in baseball, the half inning. And so we build predictive analytics that suit each cadence, from the most fastest to the group that makes the next sense, down to time frames and periods. So we really build out a whole spread, and we're really excited about it because that keeps things from being boring, which fans do not want the same prediction over and over again.
Kelly, will you all take the transactions, or are you going to work with a gambling partner to handle the actual transactions that occur?
I'm a believer in doing what you're great at, and for that reason, we're part of the ecosystem in delivering the odds in the microbet markets themselves ultimately to the operators who will take in the bets.
Okay. All right. So have you gotten to the point where you're talking to them about what they want and what they believe that their customers want? Because you've got a mountain of options that you could probably offer to people. How do they think through with you what they believe their customers are going to want from this experience?
So, the first question is, are we talking to operators? We're talking to pretty much anybody in the industry that has a demand for this thing. And by the way, that's everybody. We've had teams call us, leagues call us, operators call us, platform providers call us, you name it. The way I look at it is if we offer just a really fantastic product that makes a lot of sense, it makes sense to them too. And so we're really excited. We are looking for our first integrations in this coming year, but as you know, we're pretty new. We do have some history in on the media space, as you've seen with NBC and with Apple TV, MLB Network. But now we're building up our betting side of the house, if you will. So it's a very exciting year for nVenue.
Guys, are you looking for that extra confidence when it's time to have fun? Let me tell you about BlueChew.com. BlueChew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, but in chewable form and at a fraction of the cost. Blue Chew's tablets help men combat all forms of ED. Blue Chew is also an online prescription service, so no visits to the doctor's office, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. And it ships right to your door in a discreet package. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. And the best part, all done online. Blue Chew's tablets, made in the United States, and they prepare and ship direct, so it's cheaper than a pharmacy. And here's a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew free when you use our promo code FUTURE, F-U-T-R, at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code FUTURE, F-U-T-R, to receive your first month free. Tell me a little bit about the analytics and data that are being used with Apple and with Major League Baseball. What are you providing to them, and what are they asking for out of you to provide to their fans?
Yeah, it's really interesting how all that came about. So we were, last year, we were part of the Comcast and NBC Accelerator. And out of that, we had some partnerships that with NBC that did a pilot program with us last year for some games with the RSMs from NBC. So, fast forward that, and about 2 weeks before the season was started this year, we got a phone call that said, "Hey, how about why don't we take this? Apple's looking for new innovative ways to enhance the broadcast. Hey, nVenue, can you do that?" So what we do is we provide over our API, and what it is they take all of our predictions. They have very sharp folks in the booth sitting there looking and picking which ones with our help from some of our insights, but very sharp folks putting what goes up on screen with Apple TV. They take from a plethora of outputs and they choose just one, because one of the missions is don't overwhelm, keep it simple, keep it streamlined.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As someone who works in television, and there is an amount of statistical addendums to what you are doing that can become overwhelming. So as you've worked with them, what are they saying is the most appealing to them? What do they think fans want to know more about? What are you revealing to fans that might be different from traditional statistical analysis?
Well, I think the big thing is the new way to look at the numbers. I see that Apple TV wanted some innovation in broadcast, and they set about doing it, and they did it, quite frankly. So we're just a piece of that new world, and looking at more than averages, more than stats, and starting to get people talking about baseball, and it's succeeding. People are talking about the numbers. What does this mean? They find their eyes from what we have observed, through social and feedback. We see people are, exploring things and talking about at-bats and why did this happen? And that's the new world of sports. And it's more engaging and it's beneficial for all, whether media or whether it drives folks to engage in something like betting on the moment.
Where do you see, from your point of view, this going? Will there be multiple casts for single games? Some that are focused on betting, some the game itself, deep dive analytic broadcasts? Like how do you kind of view your role in what all these different kind of emerging options for broadcast?
Well, one of my passions has always been about reaching the casual viewer. I look at, even though I come from a crazy sports family, I'm more of a social sports fan, even though I have deep knowledge. I think about all the people that are watching, take a Super Bowl party and all the different types of fans. So I think the primary broadcast should be something that speaks to everybody and gets them engaged and interacting. And this is step one of that. Now, we have a whole host of information that's underneath what that single prediction that you see. Like underneath that prediction that you see on Apple TV, we have things like, this is 10 times the MLB average. Pay attention. This, we're seeing a streak on, the side of the pitcher, that there might be more likelihood of a home run here because of his streak. We could see alternative broadcasts where some of that information is exposed. Yeah. But I think the most fruitful one is the one that's going to engage the casual fan to engage in the sport. That's the best for all of us, for the world of sports, in my opinion.
Are you catching the broadcasters off guard, being too good at it in predicting what's happening?
I think that is an area where we grow. One of the best feedback that we got from the NBC trial was the black box effect. Here's a number. How do we make sense of it? Because the numbers in machine learning don't always follow the exact expectation that you would have for the average of sports. Sure, if the strike comes in, you might, intuitively think, oh, it's another strike. The odds of a reach should go down, right? Well, maybe that player performs differently in that case. And that has the ability to catch a broadcaster off guard. And for that reason, for some of our broadcast tools, we have that extra information that says, this is why. It went up because this batter is 10 times more likely in the league, in this situation to do such and such. And anyway, we think that that's a real opportunity, but that's an area of growth because it's always more than a number.
All right, let me end on just a broad question and just get your thoughts on it. Here you are providing analytics to Apple, who's a newcomer into streaming baseball games. Amazon is now streaming football games. So the platforms are changing, obviously. There's always going to be a need for new, informative, predictive analytics. And to your point about betting, it's not legal everywhere, but it's heading that direction. And the micro betting industry is still nascent, but clearly there's a big upside, obviously, with all of it. If we did this interview again in 5 years, what are we talking about?
Oh, that is the best question I think I've received in months. In 5 years, we should be talking about ways to personalize the experience of watching sports. Right now, we're all getting the same broadcast and the same views. And I am excited in 5 years from now being able to have a very interactive and very personalized experience in sports. And what we're doing and what some of the other folks in technology that are trying to disrupt this space are doing is building towards just these amazing experiences. Because as you know, with your experience and what I know from living sports my entire life and being at so many games, it's healthy, it's good, it's fun, and I want to replicate that. And that's what I see in 5 years, and this is just the beginning.
Kelly Pracht is the co-founder of nVenue. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
On the next Future Sport podcast, we'll get back outdoors with a new way to add some weight to your workout.
One of our ambassadors, Julio Jones, I'm sure you know Julio, his question was, I can't believe no one's thought of this before, because it's so intuitive. It's like, well, of course, if I can add something to my training that doesn't interfere with it but gives me more benefit, it's incredibly intuitive.
That's Stefan Olander, founder of Amorpho, which is using micro-weighted workout gear to maximize your training. That will do it for this episode. As always, the future is now. This is the Future Sport Podcast. I'm Bram Weinstein.